Okay, Dad, in order to reposition your handlebars, you'll come to the front of the stem here. Now in this case, I'm loosening, so I don't need a torque wrench. All that I have is a 4mm hex wrench. Repositioning is easy. You really only need to loosen these bottom two, which is real nice, because one thing to think about when you're reattaching your stem bolts is the spacing between the faceplate and the stem here, which ideally will be the same as the spacing down here. So if you already have that correct, and I think that bike is probably already set up with even spacing top and bottom, if you then just loosen these two guys, rotate your stem, and then tighten them back up using your torque wrench, that spacing will be preserved. So it's just a matter of loosening these about a half a turn each, the bottom two, half a turn each. Rotate your handlebars whichever way you want. Before you retighten, look very carefully to make sure it's spaced left and right. And so you can see this handlebar, like most, has these little lines. And I just make sure that the same amount of line is sticking up on one side as on the other. And then you use your torque wrench to retighten. Now at that point, you will need to adjust where your shifters are, because currently your shifters, if you do this to set up a horizontal positioning of your handlebars, your shifters will probably be sitting up at about this angle. And honestly, that may work for you. You can take it for a test ride and see. I like it to be completely horizontal and inline all the way across. So I think that on your bike, the adjustment will be the outside of the shifter. You'll see a little groove right about here in the plastic of this housing, and you'll just kind of weasel your hex wrench in, insert it, and it'll seat in a little hex bolt that's in there. Loosen it about a turn, maybe a turn and a half. You don't need to do much. Wiggle these to move them down or up, and then tighten back up the same amount of turns. You can try to use your torque wrench, but I don't think it'll go in that deeply into that rubber grip. But just, again, you don't need to over tighten, just nice firm, and that's it. If you're really wrenching it down, there's a really good chance you will snap this assembly right here, which is holding it all together, or strip the internal female threads. So there's no reason for it. You don't have to tighten it that much, because really just incremental turns, this is essentially a pipe clamp right here, incremental turns give you plenty of force to hold it in place.